everyone, my name's Emily, and today on my channel, The Red-Headed Ravenclaw, I'm going to be continuing my reviews for the volumes of My Hero Academia. This time I'm going to be reviewing My Hero Academia Volume 2, Rage, You Damned Nerd, and I'm so excited to be continuing to do this. As you can see, hopefully I'm wearing my Aizawa t-shirt because he's my favorite character, and I just wanted to, support him, and I'm going to talk about him in my reviews. As you can see, I'm in a different filming location. Also, if you can hear a loud noise, I have the heat on because it is freezing in my apartment. But anyways, I'm in my bedroom. I'm sitting on my bed actually, and I'm in front of what I like to call my fandom wall, and I'll insert a clip here of like the different pictures and stuff that are on there. They're all from Pinterest and Tumblr, I think, so I hope you guys enjoy that because I know I do. There's lots of My Hero Academia stuff on there, as well as other fandoms that I'm a part of. Okay, so here we have, well, first of all, here's like a full panel view of all of them. They're just like these little cork boards. Like you can see, they're just little, I don't even know how many inches, probably like 6 by 6, that's probably not right, I don't know, 8 by 8 squares of cardboard, not cardboard, cork board, and I just have these little push pins in them. But we'll start over here. Here we have Tenya Ida, he's me, and we have these beautiful drawings of Aizawa because he's freaking beautiful and I love him, and yeah, they're both from My Hero Academia. Then we have this Bob's Burgers art. Marshmallow is my homegirl. Then we have this cute 1940s Ravenclaw girl I found on Pinterest. Then we have this Beetlejuice art because that's my favorite movie. And then we have this funny lemon grab meme from Adventure Time. Down here we've got my girl Tina. She is my alter ego. And we have my favorite scene from Adventure Time of all time. Ice King specifically saying, "Crazy silk." Then we have this cute little Hermione drawing. And then we have these really cute frames of Bakugo from the anime. He's from My Hero Academia, obviously. Then we have another really great Adventure Time scene. And we have this cute little thing, my Patronus is a bookworm, and the literal like definition of my life. And then we have this cute little Tina from Bob's Burgers in her sandwich costume from one of the Halloween episodes. It's from my favorite Halloween episode. Then we have my beautiful bae, Cass Brecker, from the Six of Crows duology. I think this is from Tumblr. Then we have another Adventure Time, You Son of a Bleep Blop, and another Adventure Time. Then we have this really, really cute Deku. He's a precious, precious bean. Then we have Jack Skellington, which is my favorite Disney movie. I mean, there are other characters from The Nightmare Before Christmas in there as well. And then we have this really cute Ravenclaw symbol. And then probably one of the best ones is this attractive Bakugo that I found on Pinterest. And yeah. So here's all 4 of them again. And that is my fandom wall for right now. I really need to put some Kirishima in there, but I don't really have space. I've got like that one skinny spot and that like square, but there's a lot on that one, so I'd have to probably rearrange them. But yeah, that's that. But I took a lot of notes, and this is volume 2. We've got Deku and Kachan on the front, and at this point I've read through volume 14, so going all the way back to reading volume 2, I was planning on just doing a flip through to take notes, but I really ended up having to like reread it to get in-depth notes because I wanted this review to be in-depth about my thoughts and feelings on silly things like I did in the first one. And I took like, I don't know, a bunch of pages of notes, like all of these notes here. So I should probably get into it. Right from the beginning, we get Midoriya's mom making his hero costume for him, and I think that's just such a good sign into their relationship. She feels so bad for telling him that he'll never be able to be a hero and things like that because he doesn't have a quirk, and so she took the liberty to take the design that he drew and have it made, and he loves her so much that he wouldn't want any other costume. And so he runs with that, and I forgot how different his initial costume is. And a lot of the characters, this is the volume where we get to see everybody's hero costumes, and a lot of the costumes are drastically different from how they are later on because they get to make modifications as they learn more about their quirks, and they get to just make things like work better for them so that their bodies can be more adaptable to their quirk and things like that. So the costume in this first volume that shows it is very different and like super, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like Deku to me. The next thing the next thing I mentioned is that when they go and everybody sees each other in their costumes for the first time, Deku recognizes Ida from the question that he asks rather than from his costume. And it's funny because like he has the helmet and a very armored looking costume, and it's very telling of Ida's character that he promptly needs to ask a question of All Might. He just needs to be very assured of what is happening in the situation. I love the way that the author, Kohei Horikoshi, is able to subtly develop characters. Like throughout the volumes, everybody gets some everyone kind of gets their own volume that's sort of dedicated to developing their story, and the more important characters get more and more. But there was a page in here where he subtly developed everybody's character by having them like ask these questions. Like Momo says, "What determines victory?" Bakugo says, "Can I just blast everyone away?" Uraraka says, "Are you threatening to expel someone like Aizawa Sensei did?" Ida says, "How do we proceed to divide ourselves into teams?" And Aoyama says, "How fabulous is my cape?" And I think that those little dialogue bits really show us how the character's going to develop. This is only the second volume, and so we get a lot more as we go on, but I love that we get those tiny little tidbits. We get a lot of Kirishima throughout this volume, and I didn't recognize that like this early on how much I was going to love Kirishima, but in my opinion, he is best boy. And if you don't know, like the phenomenon of best boy, it's just like a kind of a meme thing where it's like, which one is your favorite and who is like the best in terms of like, I don't know, factors that you favor. And so he's like, Kirishima is a really good friend, and he is strong and manly, and he's just so precious, and I love him. And going back to read this one, there are a lot of moments where he stands out at being a really good friend, and where he is really focused on becoming a hero, and I don't think I remembered that about him. I also realized that All Might is not a great teacher, and throughout this volume, he prioritizes his hero work, and we see that become an issue at the end, and he just doesn't really know how to teach these kids. He puts them in a dangerous situation, and he lets things go on too far, particularly when Deku and Kacchan are fighting. and he just doesn't really know what to do to teach them other than giving them a practical experience type of situation. He doesn't really have lessons for improvement or theories or things like that, and that gets expanded upon further in other volumes as well. I am constantly reminded how much I love the way Bakugo is drawn. Especially in this volume, there were a lot of really great panels where he looks really maniacal, and like, since he's on the villain team in this volume, and I guess I kind of jumped way ahead of myself and didn't explain what's happening in this volume, but we start off with battle training, and so the kids get separated into hero teams and villain teams, and they go into this building and they have to try to defeat each other. And then after that, they do their class representative election, and then they do rescue training. And so at the beginning is the battle training, and Bakugo and Midoriya and Ida and Uraraka are fighting against each other. And Bakugo has this vendetta against Midoriya because he genuinely believes that Midoriya was hiding a quirk from him throughout their whole lives. And Midoriya is not allowed to tell him the situation. And so Bakugo just wants Midoriya to fight him like full out. And he just has this, he's drawn so evil looking, and then there are other moments where he's experiencing other emotions like shock and disbelief, where he, you know, those aren't things that he would normally show, and being drawn in that way, I love it so much. It's so great to see, like, panel to panel how emotions are changing and how actions are being played out. I am also constantly reminded of about how much I am Tenya Ida. Like, whenever they're told that he is on the villain team and he has to act the part of the villain, and he's like, this will bring dishonor on my family, but I must do it in order to get a good grade and whatever. That is literally me. Like, just concerned about rules and concerned about like what is supposed to be. And I love him so much. He's like one of my other favorite characters, just because I relate to him so much. And there's a lot of good development of him in this volume as well, just like seeing his values and seeing his motivations as well is really telling of how he will be throughout the series. Whenever they begin the fight, Bakugo's sneak attack is very telling of his character, because he literally just like blasts in, he runs away from his teammate, and he is ready to fight Deku, and he doesn't care about Uraraka. Like, he would let her go and find the nuclear weapon that they're supposed to be, like the heroes are supposed to be disarming, and doesn't give a care. He just wants to fight Deku. And I love the body movements that are shown throughout the panels of Bakugo, like blasting himself around, and all of his banter and trying to get Deku riled up to fight him. I love it so much. As I was saying earlier, I made a note that Kirishima has my whole heart, and he calls Bakugo unmanly because he like does a sneak attack, and he like, that's not very professional, and like, even though it's a valid way to fight, but just the fact that Kirishima is like, bro, that's unmanly, is like such an insult. Honestly, like, nobody should want to be called unmanly by Kirishima, because his favorite things are manly things. So I can't even say words about him. I love him, and I want to be his friend, and he's great. And I have more things to say about him here in a minute. One of my complaints about the manga is that double page spreads of art don't really work, and my issue with them is that they go into the center of the volume, and the one that made me make this note, I was like really wanting to see this full picture, and I don't know if you can tell very well from this far away, but like this panel here goes across the top, but you can't see all of it because it goes into the center here. And I wish I could see, you know, how it looks flattened, and that happens in a lot of the volumes. And I don't know if you can like find that artwork online or not, but it just hinders the reading experience, I think, when you're trying to see one of those big image pictures and it's like going into the spine crease, and it's just frustrating. It's not that big of an issue, but it was something that like I noticed and it bothers me, and so I wanted to bring that up while I was talking about things. Some of the, I don't know if this is a thing with like translation from Japanese to English, but some of the words they choose, like, I feel like they're not words that 15-year-olds would choose to call each other. Like, Ida calls Bakugo a scoundrel, and later on, Bakugo calls the villains that they're fighting mooks, and I just, like, it makes me laugh a lot, and I don't know, because I love random vocabulary like that, and I kind of like that they come across as a little bit more grown up, and especially as they experience more trauma through villain attacks and things like that, like it makes sense. But right here, like this is the first villain attack that they experience, and that doesn't really have anything to do with the vocabulary that they use, but just imagining Katsuki Bakugo calling somebody a mook is just like, I don't even know how to feel about it. It just makes me laugh. Something that is like a prevalent issue throughout this story is that, like I mentioned, Bakugo genuinely believes that Deku was hiding his quirk from him, and he's so mean to him about it, and he's so like it doesn't matter if he was hiding his quirk or not, and Bakugo is just so determined to be the best and so obsessed with that. And Deku like genuinely cares about Bakugo, and he admires him, and he has always admired him, and wants to have a quirk that's as powerful as his. And so it's hard to see Bakugo being so mean to Deku when Deku really just wants to learn from him, and it's sad, you know? Bakugo also is not a dumb bully, and I think that in the anime he comes off that way a little bit more, but it's pretty obvious in the manga that he's really smart, and he's calculating, and he is not manipulative, but like he knows a way around a situation, and he just like is trying way too hard to be the best, and like that constant mindset leads to him being obsessive about getting to that point and being better than everybody else, so it makes him come off a lot harsher and a lot like more aggressive than like I think his true demeanor is. And we get to see him soften a little bit as the series goes on, and I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but it's really nice to see his growth as the story goes on. I'll just leave it at that. I mentioned when I reviewed the first volume, but I really love looking at the facial expressions that are drawn in every panel. But when Bakugo uses his gauntlet for the first time, Kirishima and All Might's faces are great. Kirishima cannot believe it, and he's like so upset that Bakugo is being unmanly and like using this gauntlet that literally just like does a ginormous explosion in close range. He's so upset about it, and All Might is like mad at himself for allowing it to happen, and also like really surprised that it worked, and that's a thing that the like costume designers allowed him to have. One of my biggest gripes is that I think I talked about this also, but I just wish that a perv character wasn't necessary. And well, I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I wish that it was not. Like, I feel like most anime and manga have at least one perv character. And Horikoshi in this volume, when he's talking about drawing Mineta, talks about how he himself is a perv, and so he like tries not to overdo it with Mineta's character, but I feel like it's like all the time, honestly. Like, that's all Mineta's character is, honestly. And it just drives me crazy, and it's like completely unnecessary for there to be frames drawn with him like ogling the girl characters, specifically Momo. And there's a scene where he's like touching Sue's boobs, and it's just like it drives me absolutely crazy, and I hate it so much. I just like wish he wasn't a character at all. And I especially just wish that those, like, the scene with Momo is really important to her character development, but then you just have Mineta like off in the corner being creepy, and I wish that it wasn't there because I feel like it takes away from her moment, and we only have 6 girls in the class, and so I feel like, you know, they need to be left alone, honestly. The way that Deku and Uraraka get out of the battle training and the way that they end up winning is really impressive. Like, they didn't have time to really communicate much of what was going to happen. They were just kind of like, yeah, grab this pillar, and she's like, okay. And then Deku just like smashes through the ceiling or the floor or whatever so he can like get out of Kachan's way. And it's very impressive that they were able to think of that so quickly. And I'm always impressed by the quick strategizing that a lot of the characters have, and the way that they're able to process situations, and especially for how young they are. I think it's probably just a factor of like being in a society of heroes, and they're constantly watching and observing. They, you know, understand that in this, you know, profession that they have to be quick thinking, and they have to be able to adapt to situations really fast. But I thought it was really impressive. And then Kachan is shook that Deku was able to do that, and Deku just realized that he couldn't beat Kachan without using his quirk, and he was trying really hard not to because he didn't want to hurt himself any more than he had to. But the way that Bakugo is drawn after Uraraka and Deku win, he like, you generally don't see him in a state other than angry or just like stoic, and he is like genuinely shocked and does not know what to do. And then I really love Ida when All Might is like doing their evaluations, and Momo gives her assessment of why Ida was the best in the like he was the MVP in their battle, and he's like shaking because he's so touched by Momo's you know, assessment of his good work in the battle, and it is so cute, and I loved it. And then we go on and we see like really quick glimpses of the other battles, and Todoroki just literally walks in and he just freezes the whole building, and Hagakure and Ojiro are instantly frozen, but then he's kind enough to unfreeze them. And like, we don't get much about Todoroki until like the sports festival, I feel like. And I don't, there are so many people who are like, Todoroki is their favorite character, they love him so much, and I just don't have that connection with him. Like, I think his story is really good, and he has a lot of funny moments that, like, because I have a super dry sense of humor, and Todoroki is literally like one of the driest people in this series. And I like him for that, but I don't like absolutely love him. But it's moments like these where he like shows his friendliness and things like that, even in situations where he's like trying to win, trying to be the best, is telling of his character. Just like in volume 1, we love a sassy recovery girl, and I think that's her best feature, is like giving All Might sass for letting Midoriya get injured and not training him to the best of his ability. Also, when Deku comes back to class, or yeah, when he goes to class after getting healed by Recovery Girl, and Kirishima greets him, he's just the best friend. He's so nice, and he's like congratulating Midoriya on the win and like complimenting on him on his like skills and stuff. And like this is really like their first class session, and like they're just now getting to know each other and introducing each other, and it's so sweet. And I'm never gonna stop gushing about how much I love Kirishima. I'm so sorry, but he's precious and so wholesome. And side note, this like tomorrow's episode in season 4 is featuring Kirishima, and I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Teary-eyed Bakugo kills me every time. He is so sad that he is beat by a person who he thought didn't have a quirk. And for a long time, Deku didn't have a quirk, but now that he does, Kachan feels so deceived, and he's like crying that he got beat and that he feels like he can't compete with Deku's power and with Todoroki's power, and he's just struggling, and it kills me. It breaks my heart. And he's just so passionate about being number 1, and he expresses it in the wrong ways, but ultimately, like, he's a good boy, and we'll see more of that when he gets soft, and I'll talk more about it whenever he has his good moments. Another one of my like small minor complaints is that sometimes in this series the layout of the text boxes can be really confusing. There was a set of panels where it was showing the League of Villains at the bar, and it was talking about them wanting to kill All Might, but it was also talking about a different conversation at the same time. And like the text boxes change from like when the narrator's speaking, they're like rectangles, but when it's just like regular people talking, they're in like speech bubble format. But it's still hard to follow sometimes, like when you're going from right to left and you're trying to follow and they're like at different positions on the page, it can be a little bit confusing. And so I have to like reread some pages a couple times before I like can puzzle piece together which sentences go together and stuff like that. That's not a huge deal, and I think it doesn't happen that often, but it just kind of throws me off when it does. One of my favorite parts of this volume is Ida's character profile. They describe his hand gestures, and it says strange gestures bewilder his opponents. And they're talking about his like straight hands and like the, you know, he's always like directing people with this kind of motion and doing pointing and stuff like that. And that's one of my favorite things about Ida is his bewildering hand gestures, and is talking about how he's very rectangular and how he has trouble wearing normal pants because of the engines in his legs. And I just love those little details that we get about the characters. I also, like, as I was saying, Aizawa is my favorite character, and I just love that he takes no nonsense, especially from like the media when they show up to try to get an interview with All Might. He's like, "You're interrupting us, goodbye." And he just is always prepared to shut people down, and he's a great teacher. Like, my first impression of him in the first volume was really bad because he's trying to like scare them, but he's wonderful and amazing, and I love him so much. Oh, and in the scene where he is telling the media to go away, do y'all know that new like video of the lady that's like leaning into somebody's car and she's like talking about how her kids can't hear her because they're listening to Kids Bop? It's been really popular on Twitter and stuff recently, but she does this thing with her hand like this, and she's like, okay, well, Aizawa is drawn like telling them to go away, but he's doing this hand flap thing, and it really made me think of that car lady meme, which Aizawa is kind of a meme all the time, but we love him. So then they decide to, or so Aizawa tells them that they have to elect, or they have to pick a class president, and Ida is literally the perfect person for class president, and even though he doesn't get it at first, like, he's the one that decides that there should be an election, and he's like right on track to get everybody in line, get everybody organized, and he's stand out. He's perfect for the job. And when we go to the cafeteria and then the media like break into the school, and Ida is like really quick thinking, he figures out a way to get everybody to calm down, but he like uses his engines and Uraraka's gravity quirk to propel himself forward to try to get to the front of the crowd, and he smacks into the wall, and he still is able to like get everybody to calm down, tell everybody what's going on. But then like Midoriya originally was the one elected for president, and he's like freaking out because he doesn't feel like he can do it. And so he nominates Ida to do it after that. And then everybody starts calling him like exit sign Ida because he like smacked into the exit sign of the calf. And like, I don't know, they're so cute when they get to be like normal kids and do like real life school stuff, and it's so can you tell that I love this series? Because I do. I really, really do. And it's so great. And it makes me feel like whole and like everything in the world is fine. So, I also made a note that Uraraka thinks that Ida will be a perfect president, and she says the reason is because he already has glasses. And just the fact that she's like thinks that that's a good reason for somebody to be president. Deku even says she really just says what comes to her mind, doesn't she? And it's so funny. One of my favorite things. Okay, I'm gonna talk more about Ida for a second. So even in real life, one of my favorite things is when people who wear glasses like push them up with their knuckle or like with their finger like this, and or like out here. It is so cute. I love it so much, and I don't wear glasses, so I think that's a reason why I think it's cute to watch other people do it. But Ida always either like pushes his glasses up like this, or he does this thing, like pushes them up with one of his fingers, and it's so cute. And then he is talking about how Midoriya would be a really good fit for president, and that he voted for him and stuff like that. And then he smiles, and it's just a really cute drawing of him. And Uraraka and Ida are like, Uraraka and Deku are like, I've never seen you do that before. And Ida says, I smile on occasion. I love that when Aizawa goes out to address the media, President Mike is there. And his first reaction is just like, can we just like blow them away? And Aizawa has to like reel him back in and be like, no, we gotta wait for the cops to be here. And I wish we got more character development for Mike, and I hope that we do in the future, but I have a feeling that we won't get much of him, and it makes me sad, but he's really fun when we do get little tidbits about him. In this volume, we also get Ojiro's character profile, and I really, really like his character. We don't know much about him at first, but like I'm saying that I like his character from the standpoint of having read 14 volumes of the manga and watching, you know, although I'm current up to this point in the anime, and we don't get very much about him, and I really, really hope we get more character development on him because he's really cute, and I want to know more about him. Sue is the first person that points out that Deku's quirk is a lot like All Might's, and then Kirishima jumps in and says, no, it's not like it at all because All Might never gets hurt. And I love these, like I was saying just a little bit ago, I love these like teenagery things that they say sometimes that just catch you off guard because they're so often talking about like difficult things about being heroes and like their goals and motivations to becoming heroes and things like that, and they have lots of things to worry about, but sometimes they just get to be teenagers and say goofy things, and it makes me smile. I love that Sue calls things like it is, and she's always very blunt, and she's such a sweetheart, but she's my best girl. Like Kirishima is my best boy, because she is a great friend, but she also is not afraid to like tell you, you know, how things should be, and really is very to the point and is very logical about the way that she thinks, and I like that a lot about her. Then we have good old Denki Kaminari, and he tells Bakugo that his personality is a, quote, steamed turd of a personality, and Bakugo gets really upset, and it's really funny. They're just, and Deku's like really shocked that they're bullying Kachan, and he's like, wow, this must be just something that happens at UA. Then we get to the rescue training, and before that, All Might used up all of his strength in some quick, like, hero work, and Aizawa is not happy about All Might not showing up to the rescue training, and I just love that he is, again, he's no nonsense all the time. He is, like, down to the point. He will tell you, like, he's upset with you, and I appreciate that a lot. When Shigaraki shows up at the USJ, there's a panel. I'm just going to show it to you because he looks so creepy, and, like, look at this. That is really, like, that's a great way to introduce a villain, is to have them teleport into your rescue training area and just be looking hecka creepy like that. Aizawa, on the other hand, looks so cool whenever he's using his quirk, and you can see it here. Like, he doesn't have his goggles on, but he just looks so cool. Like, he's got his hair flying up, he's got his scarf thing. I love him. I don't have words for how much I love him, and he is able to just like hold his own, and they don't understand his quirk, and he's just like, wham bam, thank you ma'am. Like, I don't even have words. I don't know what to say. I love him. He's great. I made a note that when the villains show up and they start fighting Aizawa, that they underestimated my BB because if I haven't said it enough, Aizawa is my favorite, and I love him, and he is, like, I think his ability, his quirk is very interesting, and he, like, I think it would be easy to underestimate him, and he is very powerful, and I appreciate that he's able to catch them off guard. But then they freaking like rip him to shreds and hurt him, and it kills me and it breaks my heart, and they're just like breaking his arms, and Shigaraki like disintegrates his elbow, and they smash his face into the ground, and by they I mean the Nomu, and it's so rude, and it hurts me, and it was really difficult to watch it in the anime. The panels in the manga, it's hard to tell what's really happening, but I have this thing, like, with breaking bones I hate, especially, like, I can't watch movies where people's necks get snapped. It makes me throw up, and not throw up literally, but it makes me want to throw up. And so watching him get his arms broken and his face smashed into the ground, it was not good. This volume we also get our first Kiribaku moment, and they like establish their friendship. Even though Bakugo is really bad at being friends, Kirishima's like, you gotta trust your pals, and they like go and fight and do their manly stuff, and it's so good. Todoroki, once again, also just goes at it with his incredible powers, and like, there's, in the early parts of the series, it's easy to understand that he's powerful, but it's also easy to like neglect like what he can truly do, because like we get like one panel of him where he just like freezes everything. We get that at the rescue mission, we get that at the battle training, and he can just like instantaneously freeze stuff. And later on we'll see him come more into his powers and be even more powerful. But I am really interested to see what he is able to do, and I know that this is going to be a really long-running series, and it will be interesting to see what it'll be like when he becomes a pro hero. I made a note that I was like, Minetta's quirk is so weird. Like, how did he pass the entrance exam? And then like 5 pages later, they had Minetta's character profile, and it literally was like, a lot of people ask how Minetta passed the entrance exam, and here's how. So that was funny that the author addressed that like a few pages later. I love that we get to see different groups of characters interacting with their quirks, and especially like when we get Jiro, Momo, and Denki working together, and Jiro uses Denki as a human stun gun, and then Momo's able to like create the insulated blanket so that Denki can shock everybody, and then he goes into his, you know, derp mode. It's really great, and I love that throughout the series we get to see different variations of characters interacting with and without their quirks. I also love the scene where Froppy, well, we don't know that her name's Froppy at this point, but Sue, Minetta, and Deku are on the boat in the flood zone, and they're trying to figure out a plan, and Deku's like, okay, what would Kacchan do? And he jumps off the boat and smashes the water, and just as he's going down, he screams, go to hell. And I love that he admires Kacchan so much, but then he like gets to choose to embody him, and in those moments he really looks like a badass, and he just like goes for it, and he's like, I admire this dude, so I'm gonna be mean, and I'm gonna just tell him to go to hell, and it's so fun. Okay, just a couple more points. So one of my favorite scenes, and a scene that like gets referenced a lot in TikToks and stuff, is when Kirishima and Bakugo are like arguing about what to do next after they defeat all the villains in their little area that they get sent to. And Kirishima's like, you're so calm right now. Usually you're like, die! And Bakugo's like, I'm always calm, you broom hair. And it's just like, I think they say something different in the anime, and I like it a little bit better. I think he calls him shitty hair or something like that. But broom hair is really good. But then Kirishima goes, yeah, there you are. And it's just like a cute friendship moment where they, you know, start to get that banter between them. And Bakugo's always angrily defending himself, but it was really funny, and I loved seeing that in both formats. And then the final note that I mentioned was that Shigaraki is a lot scarier in the manga, because I think in the anime, his voice actor creates him to be a lot more whiny, and he is a whiny character. Like, he's seen as like a, just kind of a, I don't know if he's a teenager or if he's in like his 20s, but he's just kind of seen as this irrational, like, he doesn't think things through all the way. He just acts on impulse, and he, like, when they're fighting, and 13 gets incapacitated and All Might's not there, Shigaraki's like, well, let's leave. They've got us now, and it's just like, I don't know. But in the manga, he's so much scarier because we can't hear that voice, and the way he's drawn is very, like, creepy and ominous and just like maniacal, and you can tell that he's a really bad dude. Alright, so that is my feelings on Volume 2 of My Hero Academia. I can't remember off the top of my head what rating I gave this one. It was probably 4 or 5 stars, and I just, as you can probably tell from this video, I literally just wrote down all of the things that made me laugh or made me happy, or I pointed out a few things that I don't really like. But overall, like, these not graphic novels, these manga, just, like, they've changed my life. Like, I was so against watching anime and reading manga, and it was literally for no reason. Like, it was unfounded. There was no reason other than, like, I thought that I wouldn't be interested in it. But this series just, like, literally makes me so happy. And I can't stop smiling every time I talk about it. I literally talk to people about it all the time. I always try to, like, tell people about it. I went to a concert last weekend, and we went shopping, and we went into, like, Box Lunch and Hot Topic, and I was, like, telling my mom about the different characters, and I was just, like, gushing about it, and she doesn't care, but, like, every time I see it, like, I was looking at merch, and I was like, my heart is so happy. Like, I love these guys. I love these characters so much. But anyways, I'm done rambling now. That's my feelings. That's my love, my gush session. This is probably super, super long, and I don't know. I might try to, like, cut it down for the next ones. The first one was like 30 minutes long, so, but I feel like I'll just have more things to gush about as we go, because I like them more and more and more, I feel like. So, who knows what will happen. But anyways, that's all. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.